Hello everyone. Today's lesson begins our discussion on figurative language. Now, there are many types of figurative language, but as you can see, today we will be focusing on just personification and imagery. And as usual, the jumpy pen in the corner of the slide indicates that you should, after instructed, pause the video and journal your response. So, what exactly is personification? Well, the dictionary defines personification as the attribution of a personal nature or human characteristics to something non-human, or the representation of an abstract quality in human form. In simpler terms, that just means giving something non-human, such as inanimate objects and animals, human characteristics. So, I bet you're asking yourself, how is personification used in literature? That is a great question. Let's take a look at an example. This is an excerpt from a poem by Emily Dickinson, and it has several great examples of personification. So let's get started. Have you got a brook in your little heart, where bashful flowers blow, and blushing birds go down to drink, and shadows tremble so? So, we can see that highlighted here are the examples of personification. Now, obviously, flowers cannot be bashful and are not bashful because they are not human. But here you can see that Emily Dickinson may be getting at possibly the flowers are just coming into bloom. They're kind of hiding their faces, so to speak. And birds obviously cannot blush, but they may be acting playful when they come to drink, things like that. And shadows don't tremble, but they flicker in the sunlight. So this is a great example by Emily Dickinson of how to use personification and how relating objects, or relating your human experience to animals and objects can help an author begin to paint a picture. So why use personification? Personification can be used to create a mood, evoke certain emotions, bring a setting to life, and bring deeper meaning to a story. Now again, using personification and relating to your human experience, an author is able to create an image and give life to writing, like Emily Dickinson's scene of the babbling brook with the blooming flowers and playful birds. Now, let's look at one more example of how an author uses personification to create meaning in a story. This is an excerpt from Nathaniel Hawthorne's novel, The Scarlet Letter. In this scene, Nathaniel Hawthorne uses personification of abstract ideas to create deep meaning of the Scarlet Letter and Hester Prynne's character. The Scarlet Letter was her passport into regions where other women dared not tread. Shame, despair, solitude, these had been her teachers, stern and wild ones, and they had made her strong, but taught her much amiss. Now, it's again obviously impossible for abstract ideas like shame, despair, and solitude to be actual teachers, but through Hester Prynne's lonely life, these things were essentially able to teach her, and Nathaniel Hawthorne uses these ideas and the personification to show how truly alone Hester Prynne was for most of her life and how terrible that life had been. But he also uses personification to show where her true strength came from. Now, personification, there are many examples in various forms of media. Advertisements, songs, things like that. And now we are seeing the jumpy pen show up. And I have posted several sound clips to various songs, and I would like you to, after this is over, listen to at least one of the posted sound clips, and then when you are done with that, I would like you to journal your response to that sound clip and what you think the author was trying to get at. And then bring that journal to class tomorrow. And with that, happy writing. Welcome back. Now, on to the next figurative language that we will be discussing, imagery. So what is imagery? The dictionary defines imagery as visually descriptive or figurative language, especially in literary work. Again, in simpler terms, that just means the way a writer describes the setting and characters in a story. Now for the next few slides, I'm going to show you several images, and then the jumpy pen will show up, and you will pause the video and write about how the image makes you feel, or any response to the image. Alright, so let's get started. With this image, just take a moment, just look it over, and then just journal any response you have. Any reactions, emotions, the way the colors make you feel, the way the mountains or the sky, anything like that. So pause the video, journal your responses, and then we will continue momentarily. Alright. So with this video, do the same thing. Obviously this is a little different. It might evoke a little different response. Just talk about, how the house in the background makes you feel, the fog, the trees, anything like that. And again, take another few moments to do that, and we'll be back. Alright, we're back. So now, how did those images make you feel? I can guess that maybe the first one, with the mountains and the nice calm background, evoked maybe feelings of peace, serenity, maybe awe, as far as the mountains are concerned. Things like that. And the second picture, I can maybe guess that, was a little more eerie, possibly evoked sort of fear or anxiety. Why was that strange person standing off in the distance? Those are the questions you might have been asking yourself. Now, writers can do the same thing with their writing. Now, why don't we take a look at a couple examples and see how that works. Now here is a excerpt from a short story written by Edgar Allan Poe called The Cask of Amontillado. The story has a bit of an eerie plot, and so we'll see how this makes you feel. "Be it so," I said, replacing the tool beneath the cloak and again offering him my arm. He leaned upon it heavily. We continued our route in search of the Amontillado. We passed through a range of low arches, descended, passed on, and descending again, arrived at a deep crypt, in which the foulness of the air caused our torch rather to glow than flame. Now, when you're journaling this, keep in mind the image that Edgar Allan Poe is using of the foul air, and it's so stuffy down there that the torch can't even hold a flame. So we'll be back in a moment. Now, with this, after these two short lessons, I would like you to again stop and journal just a little bit more about an idea that of how you're going to use personification and imagery in your upcoming stories, and how that's going to add to the feeling of your stories. Are you going to go for scary? Are you going to go for happy? What sorts of things are you going to incorporate? How are you going to use personification and imagery to evoke those emotions in your audience? And with that, I will bid you happy writing, and I will see you tomorrow.